Greetings, everyone. You're listening to the Aquila View. I'm your host, Narayan, and we're back with yet another interesting episode today. Today, we have with us Team Countervail from the Heritage International School, Gurugram. Probably a team that is now competing in India Nationals, obviously with us. Probably before moving in, I'd like all of the team members to break the ice for all of us and probably introduce themselves first. We'll start with Arav.
Hi. So my name is Arav, and I was the design engineer, one of the design engineers.
Okay, Agrit.
Hi, my name's Agrit. I was the graphic designer for the team. I did all the posts and presentations.
Samarth.
Hi, I'm Samarth. I was the public relations manager and managed the social media accounts for our marketing.
Twarit.
Yeah, hi, I'm Twarit. I was the team manager for Team Countervail.
Over the next course of 20 to 25 minutes, we'll be talking to all of these young minds over different aspects of Formula One in schools and how Formula One in schools have kept them very much busy and about their adventurous journey till here. So, moving ahead and without wasting any further time, let's get into the podcast. So, firstly, welcome everybody to what we call the Aquila View family, and I'm really glad that you guys made out time to be here on the show. Uh, Also, I hope that you all have been doing extremely well and healthy, seeing the situations that are going right now around us. Definitely, if we talk about the COVID 19 pandemic here in India, probably it has hit us so hard that probably the next 6 months we can't imagine that what's going to happen. So, I'd like to know something from you guys that what the situation of COVID 19 is back there in Gurugram.
It's bad. Yeah.
So, I mean, how things look like is the what I mean, the news that we've been seeing, is it true or has it been manipulated? The numbers that we are getting, how's it looking?
I'm pretty sure it's true because till this week we also had a lockdown in Gurgaon, and then many of my relatives also got infected, but now they are all luckily fine.
Probably we all would recover from the second wave soon, right? And obviously, the vaccination is going on a pace right now. Probably, if you see the positive side and positive aspect of what's going on, probably yes, vaccination is the thing, right? Because it would be the key from not getting us infected from the COVID 19 pandemic. But also, there are situations where people who have been vaccinated are being infected. So, moving on to my first question, I'd like to know that how was the formation of Team Countervail looked like, and obviously you guys come from the same high school, if I'm not wrong, right? So did you guys know each other well before the competition, or after the competition you guys had a great bonding?
I mean, it was a mix. There were a few people who we really knew well, and then there were a few people who were new, but I think now we can all say we're great friends.
That's amazing. School is a competition that probably has a lot of work indulged into it, and that obviously gets each and everyone who's working in the team very, very close to each other because that is required out of the competition. Uh, Definitely. My next question to you guys, I mean, probably Twarit, because you are probably managing the team, is what according to you is a true leader? Or, I mean, what are the skills that a leader should possess? And how should, how should it look like that a team, I mean, how are you guys taking actions together?
Yeah, I think I always thought of the quote that leader should lead by action, and I took it to heart with how managed the team in particular. So I helped out in all the different fields, and then I was really hands-on with all the work we did, and I think that helped a lot in what we have right now. Uh, yeah, I think that's what I think.
So, Twarit, any biggest challenge that you faced in team right now, and how you guys encountered that thing?
I think this is actually quite a funny story. Uh, yeah, I think just before the submission, I think we had started doing all the submissions on the day, we didn't want to do it earlier. We just took the last day to check everything if it's fine, and then we compiled everything in one folder, getting ready to submit. And almost before 2 hours, we realized that our car file is 100 MB over limit. I think it was around 50 MB. Yeah. So yeah, so we opened it, and then in the end, we tried to do a lot of different things. It turns out that our design engineer, as great as he is, didn't delete some of the. He didn't clean up after himself. That's yeah. So there were a lot of structures that he just hid. So once we deleted that, once we just isolated the car, there was some problem with the color and the appearance. That was and then by the end we managed to fit it all in a zip file, and I think just on the clock 9 p.m. or a few seconds before that we uploaded it, but it turned out that the F1 people messed up and it doesn't actually accept zip files. Yeah, then we just uploaded the normal file, and then we asked them to just grant us, perhaps not give us any penalty points, because it was some mistake from their end. Yeah.
Exactly, and probably I guess that saved you guys. I mean, not cleaning up all of these things, right? So that's great. I mean, that's a horrifying story because it's just before the submission, right? So definitely, we are all afraid that all right, if we submit late, there might be some penalty points, and that's the biggest thing you could hurt.
Yeah, and actually we started quite a bit early too. I think the whole day was invested in just checking all the submissions, seeing if they're all right, and then the car fiasco took almost 2 hours.
Actually, that was a great thing. My next question is related to sponsorship. So, I mean, probably if you talk about Formula One in schools competition, obviously there are a lot of things and a lot of expenses related to it, and probably we are on. I mean, as a team, we are only dependent on sponsors to get all of these things get cleared, and probably we could go ahead in the competition. So, what was the strategy made behind sponsorships, and how did you guys approach all of these sponsors that you got on board? And I mean, was it just through mutual connections, or was it cold?
Actually, this is quite a long story. Long story, but I think first, what we did was because first of all, we isolated what we actually needed from sponsors, since this is a round in which there shouldn't be any physical, interaction. We didn't really need that much, so there were very few things we isolated, which was like a website. We wanted a website, domain, and then jerseys for each of us. So we isolated a few things, but we also could have, if we got extra money, we could have used it for other things, for example, testing, etc. So how we approached it was, first we did a lot of prospecting. So we wanted to focus on startups or companies in its nascent stages, and local companies, so we could support them. And it wasn't, because in regionals there's a lot to offer, but you still haven't proved yourself that high that big corporations can invest in you without mutual connection. So we tried to do that, and then after prospecting, I still remember we had called a lot of people, like dozens of companies, trying to convince them. Of course, that was all fruitless. We said that we created a PPT, but that didn't really work well. So then we focused on networking, reaching out to mutual connections and people, and then through that we got two sponsors, which I think they are INV Home and Home for You.
Okay, so probably are they sponsoring you in cash or in kind?
In kind, actually, in our uniforms. Yeah, I think we focused on in kind sponsorships, as I think that's a much better way to go than in cash.
So my next trailing question to this is that, as you stated that, I mean, the competition was not physical, and probably that was something that we did, all of us did virtually, and that probably was a great experience, right? So what do you think is better? I mean, a physical competition or a virtual competition or a hybrid of that?
I think they both have their pros and cons. I mean, this time we couldn't race our cars, which is something I'm sure all of us really wanted. And Yeah, but I think like in the pit display, for example, this time we didn't have to assemble it on stage, and then that's an entire other demon. Uh, yeah, there are pros and cons, but I personally prefer the physical competition, and you can ask the others because I think yeah, there's just more vigor and challenges in the physical competition which you won't be able to encounter.
Exactly, and probably it saved us saved us a lot of cost as well, right? So definitely yes. I mean, Arav, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, like the online is basically a limited version of the extended competition or the physical competition. This time we didn't have to do like as much work as we had to do for physical, but I think we all wanted to do that much work because that gives us the real experience.
Yeah, that's true. Agrit, I mean, what would you prefer, a physical competition or a virtual competition, or probably, I mean, taking pros from both of these things and just making a hybrid version of it?
So, what would I do is I would go with the hybrid version instead, because in physical you can actually meet with your teammates, and collaborate and make the car together. And online is it's a bit more harder than that, communicating with each other. Someone's online, someone's not. So I think hybrid. I would prefer a hybrid option. Some of the work we do online, then some of the work we do as a physical team.
That's great, Samarth. So, probably my next question is regarding digital media and marketing. So, I mean, probably if you talk about social media in whole, it is just not Instagram, but it's probably how you manage all of the social media handles like Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, and LinkedIn probably. So, what was the strategy made behind all of these social media platforms, and how well did you guys were able to probably align it with your team identity?
So basically what our idea was to create some interactive posts at the start. First we introduced the team, then we gave updates about the car and the team and how was the progress. Then we started to do some interactive posts on the same.
Okay, that's amazing. And
Yeah, we also did a social media analysis to see on which platform we can thrive the most for marketing and how we can best create our team as a brand. So, like, we also saw how different age groups were on different social media platforms. So, like, there were more adults on Facebook and more people from our age group on Instagram. So, then we also made posts accordingly on each platform. And and we also try to engage them with interactive posts, as Akhil said.
Yeah, this time we actually focused on Instagram and LinkedIn. We didn't delve in Twitter and Facebook a lot because Instagram, most of the science enthusiasts, etc., were on Instagram according to our analysis, and as well people from our age group. And as someone said, adults were on Facebook, and but most of businesses were on LinkedIn. So we focused on these two platforms. We also focused heavily on our team identity, which are our team colors. I'm sure if you've browsed through our social media page, it would be apparent. We had a gradient, and yeah, we based all our things around that, even our presentations, etc.
yep, exactly. And probably just scrolling down through your social media and probably your website as well. Team identity was something that could definitely be justifiable. That all right, the team has probably worked on team identity a lot. So that's great. My next question is regarding the design of your car. So probably Harsh, I'd like to redirect this to you. What is the inspiration that you guys take before just making the car, right? Because I mean, we all take inspirations from anything that we see around, and probably just just put that concept in a thing that we're working on. So, what was your inspiration behind designing the car of the team?
This is basically my second time in the competition, and due to this, I actually had to start off by exploring the software to great depth. There were a lot of resources that I had to use from the software itself, and they were really essential in designing the car. But different parts of the car were really inspired by different designs. Some of them were also based on advice I got from experienced individuals in the field of aerodynamics generally and car design. So Yeah. So the side pod of our car was basically inspired by a car named Lotus 79. It was, I believe, it was quite a big success actually when it came around. It sort of revolutionized its area as well because the side pod that they had was essentially it firstly created venturi flow and it also helped with additional downforce at the sides of the car. And I suppose that would be something that we could really use because initially what I have termed the seat chassis was actually empty from the back, and that meant it may have had a tendency at that time to tip back, which is why I thought by integrating downforce towards the sides, we might be able to balance that effect. This is our side pod now. Yes, this is our side pod. But other parts of the car were also inspired through observation of teams before how they've designed their car, getting a sense of what they had going on in their minds. Of course, I wasn't supposed to, and I didn't take their ideas and put them into our car. But one particular front wing design that stood out to me was essentially it was a very simple design, but very carefully modeled because it pushed air over the wheels and around the wheels as well. Right. So that was created through an option called Edit Form. So
That's great. So probably, I mean, which softwares you are using for analysis and designing?
correct. So for designing, just designing, we're using Fusion 360. Fusion 360 also allows some CAM testing to an extent through options. So manufacturing, through that we got to know which places might be cut too deeply into according to the design and the tool path that the structure in the software would guide. So based on that, CAM testing allowed us to make some very small tweaks in terms of fillets in areas, perhaps to what depth we've cut into the main body, especially. Especially one area, if I talk about just very quickly, was the rear wing. So we do know that the cam tool that or the tool that we will be using to machine our car only works in certain directions, right? So I believe it can't machine from the top, so it can machine from the side essentially, and due to that, it won't be able to cut into edges that are hidden away from its tool path. So changes like that were made through the cam testing.
So probably you used only Fusion 360 for CAM and both designing, or I mean, was different software also involved in testing?
We actually used Flow Design, and yeah, we're actually very lucky to have Flow Design. Yeah, I think Autodesk discontinued it only for people who actually had the download. They could use it, and then we had to get the download from someone who was on our last year's team. It was a big struggle, but it was much easier than trying to learn another Autodesk. And yeah, it just outputted the drag coefficient and everything we needed instead of us calculating it through Autodesk. So that was a big save.
Exactly. So what probably was your drag coefficient value?
All right. So from testing, we found that our car actually had a coefficient of 0.12. So that's actually it's actually much lower value than we expected. But I'm also aware that low drag coefficient value isn't indicative of a very good car, essentially, because if you look at the mathematics behind that value, theoretically, you can do a very short analysis to see that it's really a ratio between drag force and velocity wear essentially as well. So it's a proportionality between the ratio between drag force and velocity squared. So just using that math, you can see that a very small change in velocity prompts a very large change in drag force. So it also affects the values.
So I think more than what we liked from the actual drag coefficient, we focused on the airflow around the car. Am I right, Harsh? Because I think that was much more indicative of how it would perform rather than drag coefficient. So we focused on that, and then we saw whether there was any turbulence, and then we edited those parts accordingly. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Moving on to my next question. Probably we talked about marketing, we talk about sponsorships, we talk about team leadership, we talk about the design and manufacturing of the car. Probably my next question is a sort of generic question. Probably, so you guys have already qualified for the national, and that's all obviously a big deal. And what do you guys think is the most important aspect of Formula One in schools as a competition in order to win the competition? Is it the portfolio? Or is it the pit display? What is it? Probably, I mean, if we follow the scorecard, probably, I mean, we're definitely going to know that, all right, the design and engineering portfolio and the verbal presentation carry most of the marks. But what do you think, according to, is the most difficult and the important?
I think as a component, the car is pretty important because I think I just double checking. I think it's about yeah, it's about 220, 330 points for the car, including the souveniring, judging, specification, and design and engineering portfolio. Yeah, I think that's important, but yeah, so that's the most important individual component. Then we have team identity, pit display, which and marketing, which in total are also just as important. So I think the most important thing in terms of this was teamwork, because there was a lot of back and forth. For example, when making the portfolios, we had to go back and forth with Agrit, who was our graphic designer, creating a good and appeasing design. And then as well, the same thing with the pit display marketing. We had to, yeah. So I think teamwork was an important part in this. There was, yeah, it was.
A very important aspect of this is division of labor. Essentially, the competition is it's quite big essentially, and it's not possible for just a small group of people to handle it, which is why everyone must be willing to complete their role to the best of their capabilities and within time. Because if even one section of the one component of the team, because qualification is based on a multiple aspects, not just the engineering, or not just how you appear on social media, or not even just how your display looks. It's a lot of things.
Yep, exactly. So probably each and every aspect is important, and you couldn't just say that, all right, if you did your portfolios right, so probably you're going to win, right? So yeah, I totally agree to your point. So my next question to all of you guys is, how has your school contributed in whatever you guys have been doing till now? And I mean, was there a backend support that was probably given to you guys in order to learn or excel in what you guys have been doing?
I'll be honest, Ryan. I mean, personally, I think the school was supportive in terms of if we needed any resources, then they would give it to us. Like, for example, our 3D printing, and if we actually needed any of that, I remember having a conversation with our Makers Lab teacher saying that if we needed anything regarding that, then just ask. But in terms of, but we didn't really need anything since this was a a virtual round. And yeah, and most of our sessions or most of our learnings were just extracted from the F1 in school sessions. So not so much this time. But I remember last time the school was a huge help with 3D printing. Actually, another fun story if I could share. Yeah, last time actually what happened was we had arranged the 3D printing sponsor and everything, but it turned out that there was some problem with delivery or something. So the competition was it wasn't able to the 3D prints weren't able to weren't delivering in time. So last moment we had to get our school to help us 3D print it, and then they were quite helpful.
That's amazing. So I mean, probably you had a backup as a school. So I mean, that's great. Uh, Coming forth, my next question is probably related to what Formula One in school as a competition is. So I'd need all of your opinion on this. So I mean, obviously we all are doing competition to win, right? But there's much more than winning this competition, because as Hirsch told, and what we got to know about through this podcast, that there are multiple aspects to the competition, and if there are multiple aspects, there are multiple skills that we gain out of this thing, right? So probably let's start with Aro and get to know that, all right, why each one of us is doing this competition in particular. So yeah.
Get a lot of learning and experience from sessions like this, because like I have learned a lot about CFD and how you model a car.
It's great, Agrit.
So basically, my reason for doing F1 in schools was basically learn about how the car and how everything around F1 works. So I basically went into graphic design thing. So I learned a lot about what people like to see and what they want to see in a social media post.
Yeah, and I mean, probably you're doing a great job on that as well. Yep. So, yep, heard.
So for me, essentially, I came into this project to learn again. Of course, as everyone else has said, I learned a lot about. For me, it was design. Steps for preparation of manufacturing, for example, because I wasn't only the design engineer, I was also responsible for research on manufacturing. And then there's a lot of information I learned just from those two roles, and mostly from manufacturing, because there's a wide variety of options when it comes to 3D printing so 3D printing is essentially where you can explore, and there were tons of different filaments. There were a lot of properties you had to compare to come to a final choice. So firstly, So that's it essentially. Research skills and acquisition of knowledge. That I believe was why I participated in this competition.
All right, Ishan.
For me, I'm a pretty big Formula One fan, so I really wanted to know how the cars are designed, everything works behind the team. So I got exposure to that, and I also learned about the various parts of getting a sponsor, how to manage sponsorships, and how to manage social media.
That's great. Samarth.
Yeah, so the reason I did this competition was because of the various learning opportunities uh, it showed me. So like I learned a lot about how to get engagement on the social media platforms and how to make our team a brand and advertise appropriately. It also made me understand what we need to do in order to get sponsors and how we should show our team uh, to succeed in the competition.
Probably yes. Twarit.
Yeah, so I think in simple terms, F1 in schools is basically a learning experience. And this time, I think I was really lucky because since as the team manager, I was hands-on in everything. So I got to learn more about how to make posts appeasing with Agrith, and then how the basics of car designing and aerodynamics with Arav and Harsh, and then yeah, sponsorships from Ishan, and then yeah, it was just a collaborative experience. And I personally, I think an important part of this is evolvement of what we're doing. So at first, I wasn't as great a leader. I didn't manage the team as great as I think I'm doing right now. So yeah, there were a lot of opportunities to learn and then improve.
Probably yes. I mean, whatever I heard from all of you guys is probably true. And as stated by F1 in schools itself, is that it's once in a lifetime experience that a kid could probably get in the field of STEM and technology, right? And probably, Twarit, if I were to continue your point, as a team manager myself, I probably see that all right. You get to explore a lot of things, and you probably are involved in each and every aspect in each and every domain of the team, and probably you get to know that all right, how exactly a team functions, right? And it probably doesn't mean that if you have that team manager tag or team leader tag, so probably you're definitely not one who just leads from the front, but a true leader is someone who leads from behind, right? So that's great. And probably by this, I mean, we all might I mean we have come to almost an end of this conversation, and before concluding the podcast, I'd like all of you probably to answer this question that i mean I guess I've told it multiple times that you guys have been into nationals now, but what is the strategy that you guys are planning to probably win the nationals and probably be a world finalist team now?
I think we're just gonna do what we did for the qualifiers, just work much harder and do the same thing better. I think yeah, that's our strategy.
So just in terms of the designing aspect, this time much of our car was also based off on the videos that F1 has also given us. Now, of course, we know that the car they give isn't essentially the most aerodynamic, which is why we made changes. But in the next round, I think it would be better for us to start from scratch with the car, because that actually opens up a lot of opportunities for modeling to you. I've seen many of the cars aren't even remotely close to the structure that the videos that we've been given, the tutorial videos, guide us towards. So I think starting from scratch will allow us to create a larger variety of more effective graduations, more effective curvatures, which might make our car much more aerodynamic and in this round.
That's great. That's great. Samat, Arav, Agrit, Ishan, do you have anything else to add? Like, what's your strategy in your particular field?
Yeah, so I would personally reflect on the scorecard, like how the judges scored uh, marketing and the team identity, and then according to that, build on the next plan for nationals. Also, I would see that how which type of post would get more got more engagement, and then work accordingly for the nationals.
That's amazing. So probably we got to know about what's your strategy as a team leader in order to succeed, and probably in terms of design and also manufacturing this time, I guess. So Probably Formula One in schools India has probably asked us to manufacture the cars, probably. So definitely it would be another aspect that we have to fill in. I mean, by all of these things, we definitely have to come. We have come to the end of this. I mean, wonderful, insightful session with these amazing people. I mean, it didn't feel that all right. We were talking for about an hour, right? And in the initial phase of the podcast, I said that we'd be talking about 20 to 25 minutes, and probably it's an hour. So probably it was lovely interacting with these amazing people from Team Countervail from the Heritage School, Gurugram. And I hope everyone who is listening to the podcast probably might have got a much of knowledge in order to succeed, or in order to probably get something that probably get something out of this podcast that they could implement in their team. So till then, stay tuned to the Aquila View. I'm your host Narayan, signing off with this amazing people from Team Counterweight.